Hello world, it's Gus. Listen, I want to cover today one simple graphic to explain how AI, machine learning, and deep learning relate to each other. Now, I know this is a confusing topic. You'll hear these terms used interchangeably or one instead of the other. I guess that's what interchangeably means. But you just need to look at this one thing to kind of understand the entire landscape. So these are different terms, different meanings, but they are related. So let's start with the outside. AI, artificial intelligence. You could think of this like the Terminator, anything you want really, but just where we as humans are programming computers to augment human intelligence, right? To act like us. There's a broad discipline, and it's has a number of different, or it's a broad field of study with a number of disciplines within it. Now, the two principal ones, and one of them unfortunately isn't in the chart, but the two principal approaches that we'll distinguish as one, machine learning, which you can see inside the circle, and another called expert systems. We'll talk about those later, but you can think about them as just a big series of if statements. So if you could actually program all the rules that you wanted a computer to do, but actually program them out, like if this, then do that. If joystick goes left, move character left for the entire span of human intelligence, then you would have an AI, right? So the idea is, hey, broad thing AI within that machine learning, where instead of giving computers a bunch of if statements, we write code and we give them data, we give them labeled examples, we give them inputs, and we say, hey, look, here's the answers to the test. And then here are some questions you figure out, or here are the answers to the test. And here's some questions. Instead of inferring, or maybe inferring is the wrong word, but instead of deducing why the 2 plus 2 equals 4, just know that if you see a 2, a plus sign, and a 2, the answer is going to be 4. If you see a 2 and what looks like an X, 2, it's going to be 4 as well. But if it's 2x3, well, that's 2 times 3, it's going to be 6. You don't have to deduce that as multiplication and addition. You just have to infer it based on all of the examples. So that's really what machine learning does, and it sits inside of AI. Now, the final term that we'll cover is deep learning, and deep learning is part of machine learning. It's a subset. So all of the advances in AI today are really stemming from this field of deep learning. Deep learning is what is really driving forward things like image recognition and speech recognition, or the ability to make a Picasso or a Monet look like a Picasso or something. All of these interesting little style transfers things, whether to figure out whether or not you're looking at a picture of a muffin or a chihuahua. All of this is deep learning, and of course the big things like self-driving cars. Now, deep learning is a subset of machine learning, meaning it's the same idea. We're using these examples, typically labeled examples, to infer the relationship between a series of inputs and outputs, or between a series of questions and their associated answers. But we have to teach to the test here. We have to give the answers to the algorithms. And the deep part is just this idea of the layers. And we'll talk about this in another video. But you can think of deep learning as machine learning layered. So we take a typical machine learning algorithm and we add successive layers that give us better representations of the data. This isn't really covered in the chart, and I'm going to stop here and just pull everything back and say, listen, when you hear about AI today, understand that AI is probably being used synonymously with deep learning in the context of 2018 tech. However, AI is a broad field, and one of the big subsets of AI is machine learning, and it's definitely the most popular. And within machine learning is deep learning. So there is kind of a holistic overview of the three topics. Again, if you hear AI, you can think deep learning, and you won't be in a bad spot, but they aren't exactly the same things. And I think this explains it pretty well. So stay tuned for some more videos as we dive into deep learning.